Who would play a game, a particular mechanic in a game where you don't know how it's working, or what does it mean, or what's its use for? Most of us will not play a game, a part of the game we don't understand. So this video is about mechanic emergence, an answer to SameOldJi, about this property of a game called Burning Wheel. He discovered that after a long period of time using the game, 9 months or so, he discovered a new mechanic within the game and how it is used and how it worked. And now him and his other player are using the game like a session of Tai Chi, very smooth and fluid, and everything is going fine. So I'm going to freestyle this one because I have to go to work and I don't have a lot of time. So I have this time gauge here called coffee, and if I'm able to finish it, then I'm done. So mechanical emergence for a toolkit guy like me is a strange question. He asked me this when we chat the other day, and I was not able to answer his questions because, and I had to figure it out. I mean, I played a lot of games, and I should be able to answer a simple question like that. But SameOldJi is one philosopher man. He gave me this question about mechanical emergence. Usually when we talk about emergence, we talk about stuff that are not in the book, that appears at the table. And when he talked about emergence while describing maybe flaws in Burning Wheels, or maybe the SADs, he described something, and to be more precise, he precised his idea in this video. So the idea is you have mechanical part of the game that appears only when you have played a lot. And his complaint was, it's a sad thing because this game have much to offer, but you have to invest a lot of time in it. And my reaction to that was, my reflection in fact, it's just an open question. My reflection on that is, I know a lot of games that are like that. If you just cold read them and you are smart enough, you can already see how this game is played. But until you played it a lot, until this game is becoming a second skin, stuff will appear, emergent property. But you want to talk about emerging mechanics, so I had to think about it real hard because it's conceptual. It's conceptual because in a way he's saying that there is a mechanic in the book, and this mechanic does not appear until you play it. It's like very quantum mechanical stuff. The thing you search for appear when you're looking for it. So it's very Schrodinger cat. So I thought about it, and I think for a guy like me, a toolkit guy, a generic system guy, who are used to have a lot of rules that covers everything, have to choose rules to make a specific gaming experience. For me, The mechanical emergence is optional rules and advanced rules and house rules. For me, it's that. I cannot explain it otherwise. Since the dawn of RPGs, in Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, for example, you had books who had stuff to your game that you didn't need to use. But once you are an advanced player and it flows at the table like water, you sometimes have room for other rules. Rules about comeliness, honor, land, loyalty, rules for luck, rules for pity with a god, a strength level of fate, rules for mass battle that you don't need from the start. These are not emergent, but these are there. And they become emergent when you start to use them, or you ask yourself, could this be of use in my campaign? I do not believe that a rule can be found in a book only by playing it like for 9 months. It's supposed to be on the page, you're supposed to read the book, and it's supposed to be on the page. I believe there is emergent property of mechanics, things unforeseen by just reading it. So any other claims for me would be hippie claims, because we're smart people here. If we read a book and we think about it a little bit, it's supposed to be an evidence, it's supposed to be clear, it's supposed to appear. Otherwise, why use it? So for me, emergent mechanic is optional rules that you have not used yet. There is no point in using stuff you don't need and to understand just later. And I know very well that saying that, opposed to Burning Wheel, I mean, for SameOldJi, Burning Wheel is pretty much gospel at this moment. So I will just try to be honest and say, yeah, optional rules and house rulings and advanced rules. Changing topics, the nature of the sweet spot, or is there a way to achieve this sweet spot, is a great question. It's a great question because we're all trying to have this experience. We all try to have this wonderful experience. So of course, there is stuff like knowing the game by heart that could help a lot. But there is a more important factor maybe in it, the people you play with and luck. So we all I heard a lot of people talk about their previous gaming experience, and there seemed always to be a golden era in our gaming career where you have this long ass campaign that was super enjoyable, and maybe it's the young factor, being young, being free, having a lot of free time to give to your game. So that would be one part of it, freedom, or having the time to play, to explore new ideas, and to allow yourself the permission to invest time in a game. And also, I would say the people you are playing with are a big part of this. People who are as excited as you are, as involved into the story. I would say also a game that is robust, that is filled with opportunity to develop your own stuff. I'm such a believer in generic games and toolkit. Um, just to give an example, when we played our first vampire game, at one time I was sensing that the things were starting to stale and go down a little bit. Boom! I introduced a new monster, a vampire clan named Machinae, who were using cyberplasmic implant. They had little mechanical parts in their undead body, and it was a necromantic cybernetic mixed. And that jolted the campaign, and the campaign started again. And I was doing that all the time. When the campaign started to stale a little bit, boom, introduced a new concept, a new idea, a new event, and boom, it started again. And the crazier the idea, the better. So I believe all these things end up being luck, I'm afraid. Otherwise, we would play this long experience all the time. I think it's part luck, it's part friendship. The better you know your people, the better you can play a game. It's dependent on the games itself. Depends on the ideas you have. So I hope it answered the question a little bit. And Runeslinger also added a part to the discussion, very important part. I pretty much agree with everything Runeslinger says, but I think he is onto something when he described the spectrum of collaboration, and I'm pretty much in the same camp as a game master and also as a player. I want to discover stuff. I don't want to discover everything in advance. We finished our Dresden Files game last night. We finished the campaign, and we had this post-campaign discussions about the game, and we all agreed upon the fact that this game is very a cool game, but it's not in fact for us. Just because of the fact that my player didn't have anything to add to the story, because they knew everything about the setting. So I had to, as a game master, do the usual stuff and come up with new monsters and stuff to discover. Yeah. So as a player, I have to admit that I enjoy a little bit agency. But it's like Runeslinger said, it's always about exploring the character and not adding to the narrative. It's always about making my guy look cool or dramatic or interesting. It's always about that. So if I need reins on my character just to make it look cool and make his overcoat flap in the wind, that's cool. That I enjoy this type of agency, but I will not create a solution to my problem. I will try to resolve them as a character would do in a real world. I'm a simulationist guy at the core. But yeah, different games, different people, and it's all good. It's all good.